Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're zeroing in on ATPL radio calls. Whether you're grinding through your communication exams or gearing up for the real cockpit, nailing your phraseology is absolutely crucial. Seriously, clear communication is literally the invisible thread that keeps the entire aviation system safe.
But right out of the gate, ask yourself this. Do you know the 3 mistakes that almost everyone makes in ATPL radio calls? Most student pilots stumble right into the exact same ICAO phraseology traps without even realizing it. And that means throwing away easy marks on exams and, worse, causing total confusion on an actual frequency.
By the time we finish this explainer, you're going to have standard ICAO phraseology totally mastered. You'll know exactly how to avoid that high workload confusion, and you're going to completely ace those ATPL Communications exams. We're going to break down real ATC scenarios so you know exactly how to sound confident and ultra-professional every single time you hit that push-to-talk button.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Essential ATPL Radio Phraseology.
The whole foundation of aviation safety comes down to everyone speaking the exact same language, right? Zero room for misinterpretation. So let's look at a few terms that constantly trip students up. First up, standby. Now, when ATC tells you to stand by, it just means they're too busy to answer your initial call, but they promise they'll call you back as soon as they can. But here is the absolute kicker, and this is a massive exam trap, guys. Pilots must never reply to standby. Acknowledging it just clogs up an already busy frequency. You literally just wait and listen. Okay, but what happens when you mess up a call? I mean, we're all human. It happens all the time. If you make a mistake mid-transmission, please don't just stumble through it or mumble, no. The correct, standard way to handle it is to say correction, I say again, and then you just transmit the whole message or the corrected part a second time. It's clean, it's professional, and there's zero ambiguity.
Next, we've got a secondary rule called words twice. You'll use this when radio reception is just terribly difficult. If your signal is breaking up and full of static, the really important elements of your message should literally be spoken twice. ATC might actually ask you to do this if they can't read you well, so it's a super handy tool to keep in your back pocket.
Moving right along to Section 2, Clearances and Readback Procedures.
Now this is where ATPL radio calls get extremely practical. During the busy phases of flight, things move incredibly fast. Knowing exactly what to say and honestly what not to say is totally vital. Think about a real-world aerodrome control scenario. The ground station is throwing wind, QNH, temperature, and the cleared runway at you all at once. It is so easy to get tongue-tied if you don't have those readback rules locked in.
So check out this comparison. ATC fires off this long string of data. Runway 32, wind 290, 8 knots, QNH 1015, temp 19. But look at the pilot's correct readback. It's just runway 32, QNH 1015. Notice what's missing? You absolutely do not read back the wind or the temperature. You are only required to read back the mandatory safety items.
So, why does this actually matter in real flight? Well, think about your cognitive load. When you're lining up on a busy runway, your brain is processing like 100 things at once. Standardized, condensed readbacks make sure that you and ATC have confirmed the absolutely critical, life-saving data, like your altimeter setting and the correct runway, without jamming up the radio with unnecessary chatter.
Speaking of safety, you really need to wrap your head around the clearance limit. This is the exact, specific point where your aircraft must stop until you get further permission. For an aircraft departing on the ground, this is usually the holding point of the runway in use. You never, ever cross a clearance limit without explicit permission from ATC. Internalizing this concept is exactly how we prevent runway incursions. It's a huge deal.
And when it's finally time to switch frequencies, there's a standard format for those handoffs too. Look at this transfer example. Contact Walden approach 129.1. The absolute golden rule here, if you're under ATC control, you have to get their permission before you change the frequency. You definitely can't just go rogue and switch over whenever you feel like it.
Okay, let's shift gears and look at Section 3, Abnormal and Emergency Comms.
High-stress scenarios are exactly where sticking strictly to standard phraseology will actually save your life. It completely removes any guesswork when you desperately need clarity. Take a look at how ATC describes fast-moving, closing traffic on a radar vector. When your flying instrument rules, ATC is essentially your eyes, and their words paint a very specific picture of the airspace around you.
So, if ATC suddenly comes over the radio and says, unknown traffic, 1 o'clock, 3 miles, closing,
Fast-moving, yeah, that can instantly spike your heart rate. But remember the exact definition here. The word closing simply means the contact's range from your aircraft is decreasing. It doesn't automatically mean you're on an imminent collision course. Just stay calm, look out the window if you're in visual conditions, and strictly follow those ATC vectors.
Now here is a highly testable emergency scenario for your exams: loss of RVSM separation. If you're up in reduced vertical separation minima airspace and you suddenly hit severe turbulence, you've got to act fast. First, you broadcast your intentions on the emergency 121.5 frequency or the air-to-air 123.45. Then, you state this exact phrase: "Unable RVSM due turbulence." You then offset 5 nautical miles laterally if you can and climb or descend to clear the airspace. You need to memorize those exact steps.
Even if it's not a full-blown emergency, there are really strict rules for flight plan deviations. For instance, you have to tell ATC if your true airspeed varies by plus or minus 5% or more. And this is a big one. If your estimated time of arrival to your next waypoint changes by 2 minutes or more, you have to update ATC. Also, if you're deviating to an alternate airport, you've got to let them know within 30 minutes.
So put yourself in this situation. Imagine you're suddenly battling a massive unexpected headwind. You're quickly calculating your new fuel burn, you realize your ETA is slipping by 4 minutes, and on top of that, ATC is calling you. You have to prioritize, right? Aviate, navigate, communicate. But when you do get to that communication piece, it has to be incredibly precise and timely to keep the whole ATC network running smoothly. Let's bring all of this theory together in Section 4, Exam Tips and Takeaways.
Because look, knowing the theory is one thing, but actually passing the ATPL Communications exam means knowing exactly how the examiners are going to try and trick you. Check out these sample questions. Examiners absolutely love testing your grasp of exact definitions just to see if you'll fall for common traps. Look at question 49. Stand by means, the correct answer is A, wait and I will call you again. They're going to throw in trick options like select standby on the transponder, but don't fall for it. Stick strictly to those ICAO definitions we just went over.
All right, so here are your core exam takeaways. Lock these into your brain right now. Number 1, never ever reply to standby. Number 2, only read back mandatory items like the runway in use and your QNH to keep the frequency totally clear. Number 3, memorize your RVSM loss phraseology verbatim. And number 4, always update ATC if your ETA changes by 2 minutes or more.
At the end of the day, having incredibly clear communication prevents a ton of cockpit confusion, and of course, it ensures you pass those ATPL exams. If you treat your radio work with the exact same discipline and respect as your stick and rudder flying, you are going to be an incredibly safe, reliable, and highly professional pilot. So, as you head into your next study session, or maybe you're strapping into the cockpit for your next flight, ask yourself, are you ready to command the radio with complete professional confidence?
If you want more exam tips, subscribe